Relax. You're listening to America at Night with McGraw-Millhaven.
Hey, it's Thursday, and I know a lot of people are taking off early and hitting the road, so Bill on a Thursday is perfect. Bill Cleveland, our traveling correspondent, America at Night's traveling correspondent. The website is Bill on the Road. Bill Cleveland, welcome back, my friend.
Hello there, and good evening from chilly Iowa. They haven't heard of summertime here in Iowa yet. It's still cold.
Where are you in Iowa? Iowa is a big, beautiful place.
It sure is. Yeah, I'm in a town called Clear Lake, Iowa. So I would be, if you know where Des Moines is located, I would be to the east. I guess it would be northeast of Des Moines. But yeah, like a crazy snap of like 50-degree weather up here. It was 90 degrees last week where I was, so I didn't prepare. I was not prepared, McGraw.
I haven't been to Clear Lake, Iowa. I've driven through Clear Lake, Iowa. What is that, Interstate 35 that goes through Clear Lake, Iowa?
Close enough.
Close enough. I was on my way. I was on my way to Minneapolis from St. Louis, and I just took like 35 all the way straight up. And that sort of upper Midwest is kind of beautiful country. You kind of feel like you're sort of elevated, even though it's sort of a vista. But what are you doing in Clear Lake, Iowa? What's going on?
Well, Clear Lake, Iowa, for folks who are true music buffs, will know that it's a pretty historic place. It's home of the Surf Ballroom, and this is a place that I have always wanted to come, and just happened to kind of be along my route, so I decided to spend a day in Clear Lake. And the Surf Ballroom is historic because it was the place where Buddy Holly had his final concert in February of 1959. And I guess I should back up just a little bit. So I've been to, I guess now, all of the real historic Buddy Holly sites. I've been down to Lubbock, Texas, his hometown. I've, seen his grave. Went to Clovis, New Mexico, which is where the Norman Petty recording studios are, where he, recorded his early songs. I've been to the childhood house where his best friend lived, where they wrote some of their early songs. But I'd never been to the Surf Ballroom. And so February 1959, of course, we know, as the song says, the day the music died, right? And the Surf Ball, first of all, I was stunned at how big this venue is, right? It's huge. It holds like 2,000 people. And they've got these, just old school like booths all the way around. And then, of course, a huge dance floor, and still the original stage with the red curtains and everything. And it's just full of history. And if you know anything about that night where they had their last concert, and of course their tour where they were going through Iowa, and they really had a rough time of it. They're in some pretty bad weather. They're traveling in tour buses as part of this winter dance party tour. The Big Bopper, Richie Valens, Waylon Jennings was part of Buddy Holly's band. He wasn't a famous person necessarily at the time, and some other artists. And they just had a real rough go of it. And so Clear Lake was the last stop on their tour, and last on this particular part of the tour. And so Buddy Holly decided to charter a plane that night. And if you know anything about the story, you'll know there were two other seats on that plane. All right. And Waylon Jennings, infamously or whatever, gave up his seat to the Big Bopper, who he had the flu. Okay. So he went on the plane. Richie Valens won a coin toss with a guy named Tommy Alsop, who was from Holly's band. So those three guys went on the plane, and then, an hour or two after the show had ended, as we all know now, the plane crashed here in Clear Lake, Iowa.
And so they have a marking in the cornfield, do they not? Are you going to go see that?
I've actually seen that on a previous trip. Yes. So there's a memorial, and it's pretty cool. They have a gigantic replica of Buddy Holly's glasses at the it's about a mile from the actual crash site. So you'll see that, and then you can walk along the fence line to the actual spot where the plane went down. And kind of cool today, I got to meet the guy who actually owns that land, and he gave me a tour of the Surf Ballroom, and we walked around, and we went backstage, and showed me where the coin flip took place. Right, we're standing right in the doorway where Richie Valens was signing autographs for fans and everything. And then right behind him was, the guys and all the commotion about who was going to get on the plane and so forth. And they had their coin toss right there. And then, standing on that stage and looking out was pretty neat. Kind of a goosebump moment if you're a music fan. And then all throughout the building, they have all of these really great um, photographs and, of course, old posters from not just that winter dance party, but other folks who would perform there over the years. That was pretty neat to see. And then one cool thing, so they saved the payphone where Buddy Holly made his final phone call. He would always apparently check in with his wife. Um, at a venue when he would get to a venue, and so that would have been the last phone call that he made. So they have the pay phone just kind of glassed off, which is kind of cool. And then right next door, this just opened like a year ago, not even a year ago. They built this really cool like visitor center / museum, and they have like artifacts. So for example, some of the things that were saved from the plane crash. So like a suitcase that the Big Bopper happened to be carrying, or a briefcase, I think, and then like a billfold that one of the guys had, and then just guitars and autographed photos, and they have a really cool like interactive thing that they had built where you sit down. It's like a 10-minute documentary, and it goes through the history of the Surf Ballroom, and then also talks about that night. And it's interactive in that after the show's over, you can walk up to this gigantic screen and you can touch any of the things that pop up to like learn more information about like some of the artists or that particular tour or things like that. But just a really neat experience. And if you're a music fan, certainly if you're a Buddy Holly fan, like this is a must see. Like you have to come and see this place.
So is the Surf Ballroom still in use as a concert venue?
It is, yeah. So, and it's gone through different owners over the years, and I believe it's sat dormant for quite some time, and somebody else purchased it, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so it's still a concert venue, and it is pretty neat when you look up at the wall. They have all these people who had performed there, signing autographs and things like that, autograph pictures and stuff. So, I mean, I saw all kinds of artists, and then modern day folks as well. It seats 2,000 people, so you have these little booths, which I posted a photo of me in one of these booths earlier. It's kind of funny, like in the 50s, people were a little smaller, and apparently their posture was better because these wooden booths, I mean, they are straight up, no give, and so that was kind of fun. But they still rent those out, of course, and then of course you can buy like general admission tickets, I guess, to be on the dance floor. But a neat venue, and like I said, this museum that they just opened up is really cool. So a really neat experience.
What happened with the plane? Well, it was a snowy night. It was a snowy, windy night. Is that what happened? And then they just bad weather?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, they wanted to charter a plane. Well, Buddy Holly wanted to charter a plane because, like I mentioned earlier, like they had just really had a rough go of it. Like people were getting sick and like frostbite. The bus didn't have like adequate heating that they were on for all these stops and everything, and they're tired. And so Holly decided to charter this plane. And I believe when they reached out to the plane company locally, they like he was either like a backup pilot or something like that. And I was reading like the guy that was the pilot like was prone to vertigo and stuff.
Oh,
and then of course you have the weather, which they said it was okay, but they didn't know about like storms that were kind of in the area. And so yeah, so I mean there were a lot of things. This didn't have to happen. Like there were a lot of things that went wrong. And yeah, just a really sad, because he was, my God, he was just such a young guy. I don't know his exact age, but I mean, was it like 22 or something? I mean, he was was really young, and yeah, really really sad.
Yeah.
And in talking with the folks at the museum and at the ballroom today, Clear Lake for a long time really just didn't. I'm not gonna say they didn't have anything to do with this, but they were almost kind of, I don't know if embarrassed is the word, or they didn't want to really bring attention to it because it's kind of a sad story. And then, but now in recent years, they're kind of embracing it and celebrating the music history as opposed to focusing too much on the bad part of it.
I could see that it's sort of unseemly to see it as a tourist trap, this tragedy, and
Right.
taking advantage of it. But it's somewhat cathartic. And look, I only know Buddy Holly from the movies, right? And I wasn't around in 1959, but the movies, right? The Buddy Holly movie, the Richie Valens movie. Those are great songs that sort of still, they were very popular in the 80s and the 90s, and still today they're great songs. And these artists were cut down in the youth, and it's just what would have been if they would have lived. It's a sad, sad story.
Well, but I mean, even the Beatles will tell you that Buddy Holly was one of their influences, and so that's pretty cool. I'll tell you a couple quick little fun facts I learned. So in Lubbock, when you go to his grave site, for example, you'll notice that on the grave, his last name is spelled correctly. So his last name is spelled Holley, Holley. That's the correct spelling. But apparently, if I remember correctly, he had signed a recording contract and they spelled his name wrong, Holly. And he decided to keep that. So that's kind of an interesting little fun fact. The other is, you mentioned some of his early songs. So if you go to the Buddy Holly Center in Lubbock, right next door, they have moved the childhood home of one of his buddies and one of the original Crickets. His name was Jerry Allison. And this is the home where they would hang out as kids and they would write some of these songs. And apparently one day they had gone to a John Wayne movie. And in the John Wayne movie, John Wayne says several times throughout the film, "That'll be the day." That was his quote. That was my John Wayne impersonation, by the way. "That'll be the day." And so when they went to write their song, that was the name of the song, "That'll Be the Day." And so it came from a John Wayne movie. I thought that was kind of cool.
Speaking of movies, you've seen the Buddy Holly story with Gary Busey.
I have, yes.
Yeah,
that movie. I've seen that.
Yeah, that movie. Gary Busey's fantastic in that. I mean, if there's ever been an actor that has just encompassed the role and just the mannerisms and the glasses and the mystique, and Gary Busey was best he's ever done was that Buddy Holly story.
Yeah, and another thing too, you're talking about just video. They have at this museum next to the ballroom. They have like some old archive video Buddy Holly on stage, and there's not really much video of him at all, and so it was really neat to see some of that stuff I had never seen before. They had it as part of this exhibit, so just a really neat experience all the way around.
I have this ongoing debate with my buddies. I've seen the Buddy Holly story a couple times, and it ends where the plane takes off and it it sort of ends, but I vaguely remember an alternate ending, not where Buddy Holly lives, but it ends different. The movie ends differently, and my friends always make fun of me that they think I am hallucinating, but I'm convinced there was another ending to that movie that they released. It just ended differently. But that movie was great. I love that movie.
Yeah, no, it's a sad story, but it is, that was 67 years ago. Like, that's crazy that it happened that long ago. And
it's 67 years ago, and you're still wanting to go visit the place where it happened, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I selfless plug here. So I have a book out called The Ultimate American Music Bucket List. And so this came out a few years ago. And so anybody that's interested in music sites like this, I have all of them, like recording studios and homes you can tour and statues of musicians and all this stuff. And I had been to like 95% of the things. So one of them in the book that I had never gone to was the Surf Ballroom. So that was on my bucket list from the bucket list book. I was able to check that off today. So that was pretty good.
The man is a prolific author. He's got the Ultimate American Music Bucket List, and of course, his newest one is rocketing up the charts. Presidential Road Trips, 100 Places to Explore and Experience the History of American Presidents. You got any book signings coming up anywhere?
I had one today. Yeah, I had a nice group. I did have. Now this lady's probably not listening. I just, occasionally you have like a weird thing that'll happen. So I'm giving my talk and everything's going well. But this woman, she was a little older and just no filter, and she's just talking through my presentation, and just and nothing like bad, but she would just start interjecting things as though she and I were just having a one-on-one conversation, and I had to talk over her and like ignore this lady as I'm talking to this big group of people, and it was just so bizarre. That has never happened to me before, where somebody just keeps talking over me the entire time. It was so weird. And but they bought a lot of books because I think they felt bad for me, which is fine, and I'll eat it up. But yeah, it was weird, man. It was weird. But
so
anyway,
you had a book signing in Clear Lake, Iowa today.
Yep, I got one tomorrow down in near Winterset, hometown of. We just talked about James. What's his name? John Wayne. John Wayne's hometown, birthplace, Winterset, Iowa. Yep, headed there tomorrow.
All right. I'm out of time, but I'd love to talk.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out more about Don McLean's song and how he wrote it and why he wrote it, and because was it called "The Day the Music Died" before the movie, before the song, or did the song sort of dub it?
The song is called "American Pie," and so "The Day the Music Died" is just part of the
part of the song, lyrics.
But and they'll have actually a statue of Don McLean, I think this year or next year, in front of the Surf Ballroom. Tribute to him in that song. Yep.
All right. Bill on the Run, or Bill on the Road, I should say. Bill on the Road. Books are everywhere. And you can find out more. You can follow him along on his journey across America, BillOnTheRoad.com. Bill Cleveland, good stuff. Be safe. We'll check in with you next Thursday.
Okay. Sounds good. See you later.
America at Night. Back in a moment.
Live from coast to coast, this is America at Night with McGraw-Millhaven.